Hey guys, this will be my first vlog that we're doing for our photo video class. So I've got something that I kind of I've always been interested in ever since I was little. I still have memories from like 2008 as to when my dad and I first went to some, I guess, Browns games. So I just kind of thought it'd be a good idea for me to go over some stuff that I really have good knowledge in and am passionate about. So starting off kind of with what I'm thinking to talk about is how I really foresee the Browns doing this year. And we're actually currently right now, after this Sunday's win, we're 5-2 after beating the Bengals 37-34, which was kind of in a barn burner game. We normally don't get that as much in Cleveland because we're just used to having either an offense go crazy on us or our defense stop somebody and then we do the opposite on that. So really what I guess we're looking at further in this season, we've got a handful of games left. So I'm hoping that we would be able to get to a point where we're able to actually contend in our division and be able to go forward and be able to be in the playoffs this year for the first time since 2002. So that would really be great for me, if for many people, if we'd be able to do that. So really kind of starting off is with our first game that we've got coming up here on November 1st is actually against the Las Vegas Raiders. And this is their first season in their new home in Las Vegas, which is a really pretty stadium. It's actually Allegiant Airlines Stadium, which is a really, really interesting new stadium. I saw it myself when they were building it around this time last year when I was over there for a vacation. So I think in that game, we've got the Browns. We're going to be playing a pretty difficult squad there because they've got new guys like they just recently drafted a new wide receiver. And they've also got a really young guy in Josh Jacobs, who is a really, really good running back who has been actually, I believe he's top 5 in almost every statistical category they have for running backs this year. So I think that's going to be a really hard thing for our defensive line that's already kind of been struggling this year to be able to stop the run. I think that's definitely probably going to be one of our more hard games coming along since they've got a stout offensive line with some new young talent that they have in there and also their new young running back. So I think after this coming week, this Sunday, the 11th or the 1st of November, I think the Browns are probably going to fall at 5-3 just because of the sheer fact that we're not going to be able to stop the running game of one of the best young running backs in the NFL. So I think after that, on the 15th of November, the Browns are playing the Texans, which are a team that is really struggling right now. They just recently fired their GM and head coach, Bill O'Brien, and he has put them in a situation as to where they've got a really young, top talented quarterback in Deshaun Watson, who's really one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the entire NFL in almost every category, and he's really just been a stout guy for them. But they completely one of the big reasons why Bill O'Brien was fired is because they started off 0-5, and they actually also traded off one of the top 5 receivers in the entire NFL, DeAndre Hopkins. They traded him to the Arizona Cardinals for a running back and I believe a 3rd-round pick. So that was really unfortunate for them because the running back they have, he's in his mid-30s and he's really starting to fall off and it's really going to be difficult for them to do much this year. So I foresee the Browns winning this game big because their defense still isn't as good. I know they've got some weapons and a new guy, Eric Reed, that they just recently signed to a new contract after his rookie contract. So he's been a really stout guy in their defensive backfield. But other than that, they've got J.J. Watt, who's just an aging superstar actually in the NFL. So I foresee the Browns kind of going off on them and going 34 to 10 and beating them and it's going to change our record over to 6-3. And then after that, the Browns have got another game at home, which is against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think this is one where we're really going to miss our big running game that we've had in the past because we've got Nick Chubb, who was one of our top 2nd-round picks in 2018, who is actually he's down right now. I believe he's on the extended IR for this season, which is only 3 weeks for the COVID. But unfortunately, with how his injury is, it's going to extend into the regular IR, which is normally 8 weeks. So I think with that game, we're still going to struggle with the running game with our guy Kareem Hunt and Dearness Johnson, who aren't as high level running backs as Nick Chubb has been for the past 2 or 3 seasons. So with all that being said, I think in this game, the Browns are probably going to win, but it's going to be a really, really close game. just because of how their defense plays, and as well as they've got a really good young quarterback in Carson Wentz, who is very good. But also, we've got Myles Garrett, who is going to be able to go against this Philadelphia offensive line that's actually been banged up a little bit. Their left tackle, Lane Johnson, who's a really, I believe he's an all-pro player. He's been injured this year, so I don't even think he's in right now. So I think being able to have Myles Garrett switch sides as to whoever is blocking him is going to be very, very well for the Browns in that game. And then after that, we've got another team that's been struggling all year. I believe the Browns are probably going to win that game 21-20, just because of the sheer amount of points that Carson Wentz can put up with the limited amount of resources he's got with Miles Sanders and all that. So I think the Browns are going to be able to sneak out with that win and go to 7-3, which will be a 3-game winning streak for them, which I think is really, really good for the Browns. And then after that, the Browns we've got a matchup on the 29th of November against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are a team that are in the rebuilding stages right now. They have recently traded their they cut this running back, Leonard Fournette, who's a really, really good player for them, was one of their top guys, and he's actually in Tampa Bay, just right across the state. So he's in a different spot now, and they've also gotten rid of other guys, such as Yannick Ngakoue, who was actually traded to the Minnesota Vikings, but he's in Baltimore now. And he's in Baltimore with another player that they had just recently got rid of, which is Calais Campbell. He's an older, aging guy, but he is a 6'7", 300-pound defensive tackle. So he is a heck of a football player to be able to stop on the field. So I think on that one, knowing that they've lost so many people and are really in the dumps right now almost, in a rebuilding stage, probably trying to go up and get a number 1 draft pick for a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who's going to be a really, really sought-after guy in this season. After that game, I see the Browns winning that one 17-10, and we're going to 8-3, which is an incredible record for what normally Cleveland has. So after that, I see the Browns. We're playing a very, very stout team in the Tennessee Titans, which have one of the best offensive lines in the league with Terry Lewan heading all that, and they are a really difficult team to stop. So I see the Browns in that situation with their running back as well. They've got a guy in Derrick Henry who's a 6'3", 225-pound freak of an athlete who can run faster than anybody in the entire NFL and who can also run anybody over. I know just the other day they played the Buffalo Bills, and he stiff-armed this guy named Josh Norman, who's been one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL. He stiff-armed him like he wasn't supposed to be there. So after that, seeing that happen, I just believe once Derrick Henry would be able to bust through to the second half or the secondary of our team, we're going to have a lot of trouble stopping him. So I see the Browns losing that game 24-10 to the Tennessee Titans and falling to 8-4 later in that season. That's our first game of December this year. So, all right. So after that, the Browns have got a really difficult stretch of games here where we're playing the Baltimore Ravens, who, like I said earlier, I just recently acquired that defensive end, Yannick Ngakoue, from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Or actually, no, they acquired him from Minnesota. But I foresee the Browns having a difficult time in this game just because of the sheer amount of weapons they have on offense with the new talent of Lamar Jackson, who is a really, really good football player. And I also see they just recently, I think within the last day or so, signed a former Pro Bowl and All-Pro wide receiver in Dez Bryant, who is a really, really good receiver, but he hasn't been in the league for two or 3 years now. So we'll have to wait and see how he performs this season, knowing that he hasn't really been in as much. So I think in that game, the Browns had already lost to Baltimore we lost in a 38-6 game at the very beginning of the season, which was so tough due to all the COVID protocols and everything we had to follow, is in that we only had a few weeks in the building with a new head coach. So now by this time, we're going to be in the last 4 games of the season. So I think the Browns are finally going to be a little more seasoned and know what they need to be doing with their new head coach and with their new offense and their new defense and everything like that. So I think the Browns are probably going to be able to sneak out with this win. Again, I've got them beating the Baltimore Ravens 21-20, which is kind of an ambitious pick, knowing that later in this season, they're probably going to be clicking with their Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins, which was just recently acquired in the draft from Ohio State. So I think that the Browns are probably going to be able to win this game just due to the fact that I hope we're going to be a little more integrated into our offense that we have going for us, which is really has firepower compared to some other ones. So I see a 21-20 win for the Cleveland Browns, improving to 9-4 on that week. So, and then after that, the Browns actually, I said earlier that we have a tough schedule, but these next two games we're playing both the New York teams, and these ones have really been struggling this year. The Giants are the next one we have here, playing them on the 20th of December, getting close to Christmas time now. So I think that the Browns are really going to have a good week this week. I know that we just recently lost one of our star wide receivers, Odell Beckham Jr., to a torn ACL in the first play or second play of last week's game against the Bengals. So that's really unfortunate, and that's where we actually acquired him from the New York Giants. So it would be nice to have him come back and play in his home MetLife Stadium, but unfortunately, he's not going to be able to do that this season, and we just hope he's going to be able to get back for next season. So on that note, I think the Browns definitely have an advantage on this team due to the fact that the Giants have such a young quarterback in Daniel Jones, and have also lost their key running back, Saquon Barkley, which was drafted right after we drafted Baker Mayfield in the 2018 draft. So I think they're definitely struggling with running backs that they are not too sure about, and I know their starting running back right now is actually Deion Jones. No, it's Deion Jones, I believe. Yeah, he is a guy that actually used to be on the Cleveland Browns. He was not very good for us. So that is something that I think we can capitalize on, and our defensive line would be able to go up against. I know they just recently drafted a new guy named Mekhi Becton, who is a very good offensive tackle. He's a huge mammoth of a man at 6'6", 280 pounds. So he's definitely a guy that would be a good challenge for our sack leader in Myles Garrett. So I think that the Browns are definitely going to be able to put points up on this defense just for the sheer fact that they're missing all these different pieces. So I think the Browns put up points this week and go a 37-10 win over the New York Giants on December 20th and improve to 10-4 on the season. And then after that, we don't even leave the state of New York. We stay inside of New York, and we play the opposite team that we have in New York, which are the Jets. And I know the Jets currently, they have lost their one of their top picks in Sam Darnold. He's been injured and banged up all season, so they're thinking that he's probably not going to be back the rest of the season just due to some injuries that he's been dealing with this year. So we're going to be playing a former Super Bowl champion in Joe Flacco, who's actually not a bad quarterback, but he's to the point where he's past his prime in the NFL, and it's just harder for him to be able to sustain long seasons and things like that. And I know they've lost many weapons. I know their only weapon they've really got on the offensive side is Jamison Crowder, who is a pretty decent wide receiver, but unfortunately with the talent the Browns have on the outside corners in Denzel Ward, and hopefully by this time we get one of our other top picks back in Greedy Williams and Grant Delpit. So hopefully by that time in this season we'll be able to have them back and be ready to face off against this not so keen attack of the New York Jets. So I see the Browns in this game, knowing that the Jets have also lost one of their top guys in Jamal Adams as a safety. I think they're going to be able to win this game by a lot of points to little points. So I see the Browns winning this game 40-24 in New York for the second week in a row. So I see the Browns improving this week to 11-4 on the 27th of December. So, and then finally, the Browns have a tough test in the very last game of the season in the Pittsburgh Steelers. The only thing about this game that I see that is really going to be beneficial for the Browns is that we are going to be playing them at home, knowing that we played them just recently in the Steel City and in Heinz Field. So they're one of the most difficult places to play at. I know in recent history, the Browns have not even won a game, I believe. I believe they're 0-6 in Pittsburgh for games. So it's really been difficult for the Browns to win at all whenever we're on the road against Pittsburgh, who is currently the only undefeated team in the NFL. They've got a massive pass rush in TJ Watt and TJ Watt, I'm sorry. And they also just recently lost Devin Bush to a concussion, who is one of their top stud middle linebackers that they currently have. Their front seven is just impenetrable anymore from any rushing attack, which I hope that by this time, again, like I said, that we've got our top running back, Nick Chubb, back in there, so he would be able to provide a little bit better services and better, greater rushing attack against this top unit in the Pittsburgh Steelers front seven. So I think at this point, the Steelers, are going to be one of the top teams in the NFL. They're not going to have very many losses. So I think this is the unfortunate time where the Browns get knocked off their high horse, and we're going to get beat by the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-21 in that game. It's going to be a home game for us, but unfortunately, I just can't foresee the Browns being able to step past such a high rolling and impressive team as in the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that is really what I wanted to talk about my first vlog video. It's just something I've always kind of been passionate about and something that I really enjoy. So, all right, well, I hope I did a fine job. All right, thank you guys.